Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She met me at the door with a kiss and a plate of baked chicken like always, and then dropped a line she'd never used before. Hey, babe, tiny thing, don't call me at lunch tomorrow. I'll be off-grid. Work stuff. Off-grid. I set my bag down. You sell leases, not classified satellites. She laughed it off, slid the plate closer. You know how Jenna is. Surprise trainings. I'll fill you in later. We've been solid 10 years. Breakfast together. Weekends planned a month out. She did the lists, I did the grilling. It all felt easy, until that off-grid. It was like hearing a neighbor whisper your name through the wall. I ignored it. 8. Told her I'd hit the gym early. She told me about a funny customer, kissed my shoulder, and switched the topic when I asked where she'd had lunch. If I'd known where all that was headed, I would have poured the wine back into the bottle and learned to like black coffee. Next day, I took my usual table at Lou's, a small cafe 2 blocks from the shop. Turkey club, sweet tea, 10 minutes to stare at traffic and reset. Halfway through the sandwich, a woman stepped up to my booth like she'd practiced it and sat across from me. You're Nate, right? I looked up. Early 30s, sharp jacket, hair pinned like she'd just walked out of a meeting. Pretty in a way that looked expensive even without a label. Do I owe you money? I half smiled. She didn't return it. Your wife is meeting my husband. Regularly. Lunch. Sometimes more. What is this? I shifted in the booth. Some prank. It's not a prank. She slid her phone out. I wish it was. Lady, I don't. She flipped to a photo. My wife at a window table I recognized, leaning in way too close to a guy with a watch that could cover rent. Another photo outside a parking garage. Another, a text screenshot with names blocked, times not blocked. She slipped a small flash drive from her blazer. My attorney told me to collect everything. He also told me to stay calm. I'm doing one of those. I stared at the screen and tried to make the guy a cousin I'd never met. That could be. Save it. She cut me off without heat. I'm not here to blow up your life at lunch. I'm here so you don't stand in your kitchen tonight and thank her for reheating food while she drafts excuses on her phone. I set the sandwich down. This is insane. It is. She breathed out once. I'm Maya. I leaned back. So why me, Maya? Because you're walking around with a blindfold and a wedding ring, and I'm not sleeping until I pull one of them off. He's David. We live 3 blocks east. This, she tapped the USB with her nail, is audio from his car. A friend planted it for me. I don't need you to do anything. In fact, my attorney asked me to ask you to do nothing tonight. Don't confront. Don't tip them off. Let me file first. You put a bug in his car? I rubbed my jaw. That's a lot. Finding out your life is cosplay is a lot. She held my eyes. I'm sorry to hit you like this. I didn't want you clapping for a play you didn't audition for. I don't believe you, I said, because that line felt safe, even while my stomach turned. We've been married 10 years. No flags. No drama. Then I envy you for this hour. She slid a folded paper across the table. Times. Places. Don't call her out. If you need to talk, call me. If you want to hate me, wait until after you listen to track 3. I laughed once without humor. Track 3. You'll know it when you hear it. She stood. And Nate, don't warn her. Please. I didn't stand. Didn't shake her hand. I took the paper and the drive and watched her walk out like someone who'd done the math and accepted the answer. At work, I went through motions. Calls blurred. A forklift beeped somewhere in the back. My buddy Josh poked his head into my office around 3. You look like a truck hit you, he said. You good? I'm fine, I said to the spreadsheet. Just tired. Right? And I'm a ballerina. He tossed a stress ball toward me. We still on for Saturday? Game at my place. Maybe. I'll let you know. The rest of the day, I just focused on not calling my wife. I drove home with the USB burning in my pocket like a hot coin. She greeted me like any other Thursday. Candle lit. Plate steaming. Look at you, Mr. Punctual. How was your day? Long. I answered and watched her eyes flick to my face and away. Yours? Busy. Meeting ran over. Ate at my desk. She set a fork in front of me. You okay? You look pale. Just tired. I spooned green beans. Who'd you meet with? She shrugged and sipped water. Just Jenna. Training stuff. You'd be bored. Try me. She tilted her head. Babe, why the interrogation? I'm starving. I let it drop. 8. Asked normal questions. Listened to her talk about a sale as if words had weight, and I was measuring every ounce. After dishes, she leaned into me on the couch. You're quiet, she said. You told me not to call you at lunch, I replied, lightly. So I'm saving my words. She chuckled, kissed my shoulder again, scrolled through her phone, and turned a little when I leaned to see the screen. It was small. People make mistakes when they're relaxed. She made too. I didn't mention it. That was my first line in the sand, silence with eyes open. Night came. She asked if I wanted to watch something. I said I had reports to finish. In my office, door cracked. I plugged the USB into an old laptop I use for invoices and heard my wife's voice in a car that wasn't ours. He never asks, she said, sounding tired and very awake at the same time. He just trusts. David's voice, smooth. He sounds decent. He is. That's the problem. He doesn't do the game. They laughed low. I clicked to track 3. I swear he'd thank me for being late if I said I was helping a coworker. She kept going. He's gentle. Predictable. Predictable is useful, David replied. For both of us. I closed the laptop and sat there. It wasn't the closeness. It was the language. I wasn't a partner. I was a tool. At breakfast, I made my second line. Simple logistics. Quick update, I said, pouring coffee. I'm changing a few things. I'll handle my own meals for a while. I'm pulling my calendar off the shared app. If you need something scheduled with me, text me the request, and I'll confirm or decline. And I'm moving Fridays back to late nights. New projects. She blinked. Oh, what? I'm simplifying, I said. Less chatter, more clarity. We good. That's abrupt. So is surprise training. She sat, watched me pack my own lunch. You're mad. Nope, I answered. I'm awake. She tried to smile. That sounds deep. It's practical. She reached across the counter, rested her hand on mine. I'm sorry if I was weird yesterday. You know I hate when we're out of sync. We good? That depends on the week, I said, pulled back gently, and left earlier than usual. That was the first softening. Small, carefully placed. A hand on mine. A sorry without specifics. I acknowledged it and didn't buy it. At work, I booked a consult with the attorney on Maya's card. Sat in his cool office, stared at diploma frames. Mr. Hollis, he said, steepling fingers. You'll want to be methodical. No scenes. No tipping. Do you have separate funds? I do now, I told him. I moved my savings this morning. Payroll will land there Friday. Good. He slid forms forward. We'll draft. We wait on service until you say the word. Keep communication in writing. Record changes. Maintain calm. I'm not good at theater, I said. That's your advantage. He smiled once. People who rely on theater trip over their own lines. I left with a folder and a plan. On my way back to the shop, I stopped at the park near the river and called Maya. Yeah, she answered brisk. I listened, I said. Silence, just traffic. You want to yell at me? No, I replied. You didn't cause it. You just turned on a light. You okay? Define okay. Right. She exhaled. For what it's worth, I hated being right. I keep hoping I'm a drama queen with printable receipts. I met with your attorney, I told her. He's good. Best in town, she said. Then softer. Thanks for not blowing it up last night. Not my style. Same. She paused. If you need air, I can point you at places where their faces don't show up. I might take you up on that. We kept it simple. Texted a bit that night. Nothing heavy. At home, my wife tried warmth again, her version, shoulder rub while I was on the laptop. You're tense, she said. Comes with living. Don't get mysterious on me. Then don't get off-grid on me. She laughed too loud, kissed my cheek. Okay, fair. I'll give you my whole itinerary tomorrow. Happy. Just tell me what matters. She didn't. Friday I stopped by the hardware store for boxes. Not to move out yet. Just to be ready. I put 3 flat bundles in the garage on a shelf and labeled them with a marker. Tools. Office. Keepsakes. It felt like unhooking a trailer before it fishtails. That afternoon, Josh waved me over at the loading dock. Saturday still a maybe? He asked. Make it a no, I told him. Reallocating time. Reallocating, he snorted. You okay with English? I'm okay with boundaries. Oh. He studied me. You and Elena good? We're fine, I said. We're adjusting. Copy. For what it's worth, you deserve more than adjusting. At lunch, I tested the schedule Maya had handed me. Different cafe across town. There they were, my wife and the watch. Neat as a calendar alert, leaning in with the glow that used to be reserved for me. Her hand moved across to his wrist and stayed there. They laughed. She checked the door twice. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video, It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. The look she wore on the way out wasn't guilt. It was control, like she was choosing when to flip a switch. I didn't walk in. I didn't stage anything. I took a photo of the back of my own hand holding my coffee. Timestamp. Geotag. I texted the attorney. Proceed when papers ready. He answered, Wednesday. At home that night, I didn't test her. I set up my new rules cleanly. House note. I asked as we did dishes. Draft tomorrow, she said, cheerful. Why? I'm moving my half of the emergency fund to my separate account, I told her. I'll transfer for joint bills on the 1st. All other expenses are individual. If you need help with something big, send a request in writing. She turned. Are you serious? I'm focused. That's not how marriage. Marriage is cooperation, I interrupted. Cooperation is clarity. This is clarity. She set the towel down. Who taught you this tone? Life. She smirked. Okay, coach. Just make sure your clarity doesn't get in the way of us. That depends on us. Saturday night, Maya called. You need to breathe? She asked. Yeah, I admitted. There's a small theater in South Lake with a bad comedy show, she said. No one we know. We can sit in the dark and not talk, then talk. Or just sit. Sounds perfect. We didn't flirt. We didn't pretend anything we weren't. We watched strangers try to be funny, then stepped outside and laughed at our own luck in finding the one place where no one asked. So, how are you two connected? We ended up on the hill behind the lot looking at a sky that never gets truly dark. There, the first switch flipped that I let myself enjoy. How long had you been suspicious? I asked, leaning back on my hands. Too long, she answered. He used to tell me I was crazy. Then I found a lunch receipt with 2 entrees and 1 car in the garage. You confront. I used to think talking fixed things. Talking fixes people who want to be fixed. I nodded. And the rest? They train you to doubt your own eyes while they take what they want. You sound like a therapist. I pay 1, she said dryly. He says I'm not a fool. I don't feel smart. You feel awake. Some nights. She smiled slightly at the sky. We're doing this out of order, you know. Everything's out of order, I said. This is the only part that feels honest. When we left, I walked her to her car. You want to keep this quiet for now? She asked. Yes, I said. Not because I'm hiding. Because I'm finishing. She nodded. I get it. We didn't kiss then. That came later, when the ground under us felt permanent, not borrowed. Sunday morning my wife tried softening number 2. Big one. Brunch at our place with neighbors. She invited half the block without telling me and then acted surprised at her own event. Look at this, she said, looping her arm through mine as people came in. Our team. Our home. Aren't you happy you stayed in today? I smiled for the eggs and the pancakes and the people who brought them. My neighbor Carol, retired teacher, leaned close at the sink while we rinsed plates. You okay, Nate? She whispered, no nonsense. You have that stare men get when they're trying not to throw a chair. I'm rebuilding, Carol, I said. Quietly. Good. She tapped my wrist with a sudsy finger. Do it clean. She's charming. Charming isn't the same as kind. Out on the patio, my wife held court, laughing, touching shoulders, making jokes. At one point she glanced at me and said to the circle, Nate would be lost without me. He still can't run the washer. A couple people laughed. Josh's wife, Erin, didn't. Nate looks like he can run a country if he decides to, Erin said, taking a sip of iced tea. Don't do the helpless husband bit. It's tired. My wife covered smoothly. It's a joke. Jokes usually land better when they're true. Erin shot back, friendly and sharp. He's not helpless. I looked over at Erin and nodded, a small thanks. That was my public boundary. When people left, my wife shut the door a little too hard. That was awkward, she said. Don't volunteer me for weakness, I replied. Not funny. Not accurate. You're touchy. I'm precise. She stared. Fine, Mr. Precise. Do the washer tonight. Show us all. Gladly. Monday I told my manager I needed 2 weeks of flex hours starting Wednesday. Everything okay? He asked. Everything's getting okay, I said. Tuesday night my wife positioned her final push. She showed up at my office unexpectedly with a box of cookies and that giddy voice she uses when she's selling something. Surprise, she sang, stepping in. Brought you treats. Brought myself your time. Can we grab a late lunch? My team looked up over cubicle walls. Josh raised an eyebrow at me like a referee asking if I needed time out. I stood, kept it simple. I have a meeting in 10. Blow it off, she said. It's me. I don't blow off commitments, I said, steady enough for the room to hear. Text me 2 options for next week. I'll pick one that fits. Her smile thinned. So rigid lately. Call it structure, I said. Crowds love a good foundation. She recovered, laughed like it was all a gag, hugged me in front of the room, whispered in my ear, "Stop being dramatic," and left cookies on the desk like a trophy. Josh wandered over. "You handled that," he said. "Bless this boundary era. Feels like washing out a cut with cold water," I answered. "Hurts. Necessary." Wednesday morning the attorney texted, "Documents ready. Service staged. You in?" "In," I texted back. Then I rented a small furnished house on Birch Street month to month. 1 bedroom, clean floors, porch that faced west. I bought a cheap grill off a classifieds page and put it in the truck. I told no one except Josh, who helped me move a couple boxes after hours. "You sure?" he asked, setting my drill on the counter. "I'm done letting someone narrate me," I said. "Copy." He clapped my shoulder once. "Say the word if you need muscle. Or beer. Or both." Thursday night, I told my wife I'd be late Friday. "Working again?" she asked, distracted. "Finishing," I said. "Finishing what?" "You'll see." Friday morning. I left an envelope in the hall desk, keys, my new address, a printed note with 3 lines. "Bills, I'll pay my half on the 1st. Communication, email only. Meeting, unnecessary." No speeches. No inventory of pain. I put my clothes, tools, and photo albums in the truck. I looked once at the wall where our pictures used to hang, and then at the small wind chime on the porch. I didn't take it. Let the house keep one voice. At noon I met Maya at a diner 2 towns over. "You look lighter," she said, reading my face like a blueprint. "I moved out," I told her. She nodded, eyes wet for a second and then dry. "I served him the papers at his office," she said. He texted me question marks. Like punctuation could buy time. "Mine'll be seeing hers today," I said. We ate. We talked about nothing. After, we drove out to a bluff past the marina and watched the water slap gray-green against the rocks. She leaned into me, careful at first. "You sure you want company?" she asked. "Very sure." We sat until the sun dropped. When we stood, I looked at her, and the decision wasn't a debate. "How about a real date?" I said. "No hiding. No qualifiers." She smiled with the tired confidence of someone who'd been told no a lot and moved on anyway. "I'm in." We went to a small place with no music and a chalkboard menu. We laughed at a joke the waiter made about how everyone orders the same special when they're nervous. After dinner, we walked to the pier and leaned on the rail. The first kiss wasn't theater. It was simple and warm like a light turned on in a room I thought was sealed. Saturday morning the email started. "My wife first. We need to talk." Caps lock. I replied, "Email works. What do you need to communicate? You can't just leave like this." I already did. Bills on the 1st. Email for logistics. "You owe me a conversation. I don't owe you a performance." She called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Then she switched to texts. "This is insane. Come home. We can fix it. We can close out the lease, sell what we need to, split the rest. Cleanly. Tell me what I did wrong." "No." That one sat there, simple and heavy. She sent a long paragraph about miscommunications, stress at work, a sick aunt 3 states away. She added a line about how she'd always protected us, like I was a project. The attorney emailed mid-afternoon, service confirmed. Her response window open. I grilled at the little house that night. Maya came over with a bag of vegetables and a 6-pack of sparkling water because everything else looked like a test. We sat on the steps and ate off paper plates. She laughed when I dropped a pepper and picked it up too quickly, like I was afraid someone would steal it. "You're doing better than me," she said. I argued with him for an hour on the phone this morning. About what? About definitions. He loves definitions. What counts? What doesn't? If there's no photo of a kiss, then nothing happened. If there is, it's not recent. If it's recent, I'm taking it out of context. Context is a great word for people who hate plain meaning, I answered. She bumped my shoulder lightly with hers. "You're annoying when you're right. Comes with living." Sunday I went back to the house to get a box I'd left in the garage. My wife was there. She stood in the driveway like a storm in a dress. "You're really doing this," she said. "Yes." "In front of the neighbors? People exist. This isn't a secret. You're punishing me." "I'm removing myself." "For what?" "For the car and the lunches and the whispering and the way you used my trusting as a tool." I kept my voice even. No yelling. No monologues. Just facts. That's insane. You like that word. I set the box in the truck. We're done. She stepped closer. You think she's better? You think this will last? I think respect lasts when it's real. What do I have to do to make you listen? Stop performing and start telling the truth. But here's the part you really won't like. I opened the truck door. I don't need that truth anymore to make a decision. I already made it. You're throwing away 10 years. No, I said. I'm throwing away the version where I forgot who I am. Her mouth moved like she was searching for a line that used to work and kept not finding it. I got in the truck. She grabbed the edge of the door. I deserve a chance, she said. Everyone deserves clarity, I replied. You got it. I closed the door carefully, not on her hand, and drove off. In the rearview mirror, she stood there, phone in her palm like a weapon that had lost its bullets. That week was a string of quiet moves. I changed the auto pace. I sent the spreadsheet of what I'd cover through the end of the month. I booked a storage unit for things we'd sell later and put my name on a short list at a rental near the shore in another city 2 hours south. Work gave me a project down there. It felt like the world saying, doors unlocked. Maya and I had our first weekend fully ours. We drove to the coast in my old truck that rattles when it hits 55. We ate shrimp on a paper tray at a place where the biggest decision is window or deck. We didn't talk about them. We talked about the place we'd both lived in our heads the past few months. Quiet, clean, no scripts. On the drive back, my wife texted me a photo from our living room. A pile of frames on the floor. This is what you did. I answered, pack them. I'll pick them up Tuesday. She texted for a while after that. I didn't reply. Boundaries are only boundaries when you hold them after the first push. Wednesday, documents landed on my desk to sign. I read every line, not because I doubted the attorney, but because I want to know where my name sits. I signed with a steady hand and slid them back in the envelope. Maya met me on Birch Street with takeout and a grin that looked like the first day of spring. You did it, she said. I did what I should have done the minute I heard track 3. We ate at the little table. No music. No jokes about the future. Just small plans. Who's bringing what box, when to tell our closest people, how to handle the inevitable coffee to talk it out texts. Then we went for a walk to the park where the softball teams practice at dusk. A dad was tossing underhand pitches to his daughter. She smacked one into the chain link and grinned like she'd broken a code. That made me grin, too. Friday, my wife made her last attempt. She showed up at my work parking lot at noon, leaned against her car like a billboard for a different life. 5 minutes, she said when I approached. That's all I want. You have 60 seconds, I answered. After that, email. Okay. She straightened. I messed up. I took us for granted. I thought we were stale and I chased. She caught herself, picked a safer noun, a distraction. It didn't mean anything. It was a phase. I ended it. We can reset. There's no reset, I said. We don't need a reset. We need a conclusion. You can't be this cold. It isn't cold, I answered. It's honest. I'll change. You already did. Repeatedly. That's why I'm out. She stepped closer. Tell me what to do, Nate. I'll do it. Keep it clean, I said. No stories. No scenes. Sign what's in your email. I'll see you on the other side of paperwork. She laughed in disbelief. That's it. 10 years, and you get to have the last word. Sure, I said. Here's the last word. I don't run on tricks. I got in my truck. She hit the window with an open hand. Not hard, not dramatic, just contact. I drove off anyway. We closed the chapter fast. Sold the furniture that didn't need to travel. Gave away extra dishes. Transferred the lease. My half of the equity from selling the house landed 2 months later. I wired part into a down payment on a small place south by the waterline, blue shutters, a garage big enough for my tools and Maya's bikes. I bought an older pickup that starts every time. I learned the names of the neighbors who wave whether they know you or not. Work moved me to a regional role with more pay and fewer meetings. Josh texted me a photo of his kid holding a Go Nate sign the day I left. He thinks he's funny. He is. We talk on Sundays. Maya and I built routines that don't need passwords or secret calendars. Breakfast on the back steps. Bad karaoke at a bar where the bartender calls me sir and still cards Maya because she looks younger than she is. Star walks when we don't feel like talking. All the light, none of the stage. As for Elena, last I heard, she moved into a smaller place nearer the office and started showing up to neighborhood get-togethers less. People stop asking about you when you stop being a good story. That's not cruelty. That's how attention works. Erin bumped into me at the hardware store last month while we were visiting and shook her head. Your old house is so quiet now, she said. You did right, Nate. You look like a man whose shoes finally fit. I laughed. They were always my size. I was just wearing someone else's laces. It took me one sentence to end something that had been dying for a year. It took me a dozen small decisions to keep it ended. That's the trick no one wants to sell. The big moment matters, but the little daily doors you don't open matter more. So, no drama, no speeches, no begging. I set rules. I enforced them. I left. I spoke one clean line over my shoulder and let the door swing shut. Now I lock my own place at night and sleep like a man who knows who he is. And if you ask me what part of it I'm proud of, it's this. I didn't scream. I didn't barter. I didn't try to win. I just stopped playing. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.